Been a while. I just had a kid about, I think it's 8 days ago now. I can't remember exactly, but it's not been a long time. Luckily, I have family here to help out a little bit, so I have been away from the podcast and back to trading a little bit the last few days, just lightly, but was kind of prepping for the child arrival and during, of course, not able to do as much, so gonna have to get back to a normal routine, but just wanted to come on and say a few things that I've noticed since I've probably the last year, but especially the last few weeks when I have other things pulling at me. I've kind of stuck to maybe 90 minutes a day of looking at the market and just looking at the highest level stuff that's important to me, whether it's a stupid news trade that I saw or important earnings winner, or a lot of times trades come to me through many different areas of life. I've been doing some cryptocurrency stuff recently and some trading. I was involved a couple months ago, and then when it blew up, I like to trade the aftermath of a blow up, so I've been in there a little bit with that. And I just kind of let things pull me in where it makes sense. So it's never, it's never like I only day trade, I only swing trade, I only position trade. It's kind of like I could be doing any of those things depending on kind of my focus level and where it makes sense, because the logic and the thinking is really the same on all levels. It's just a matter of the time frame for the specific trade you're doing. And I think that's something I built over time. It wasn't always, I used to only day trade, as I talked about before. So it's now when I have the kids and they're younger, and sometimes it's hard for me on the Pacific time zone to be consistent with getting in there at 6:30 a.m. when the market opens. It's looking at stuff and finding trades that last a few days and keeping track of 3 to 5 day moves and things like that, and versus just being in and out during the day when it's just harder for me to do. But one of the things that's popped up is quickly moving on from regret. I'm a person that sometimes one of my weaknesses in my personality can be to look back and kick myself and beat myself up for so many things that I could have done better. And I'm really working on quickly moving past it. And when I was day trading, when I was younger in my 20s, futures regularly, I would feel that regret really strongly, then I would move on to the next day. And I got pretty good at it. But it's almost like since I've gotten older and done this longer, it sticks with me more to have that regret. And it's just really a decision to quickly move on. And the faster you get that crap energy out of your system, move on to the next trade. It doesn't mean you're not going to look at it or understand what you did wrong, but it's just that hanging around with that energy is nothing good comes of that. So that's the first thing that I would kind of point out that I've been working on. The second thing is old traders versus new traders. And some other folks have posted about this that I've been reading recently, and I thought it was a good topic to bring up. We all want to become an old trader because it means we've survived a long time and we've weathered a lot of different markets. And that's the goal, is to make as much money as you can, to really enjoy yourself, to keep growing as a person, growing your trading, grow your size, and just keep going as far as you want to go with it. And when you're an older trader, so I guess that's what I don't feel old, but I've been doing it for almost 20 years, so that's considered older, I suppose. And when you do that, then you have certain experiences. You've seen crushing drawdowns, you've had blow-ups, and you've seen booms and busts, crypto booms and busts, 2008, the 2000 tech thing, the 2011 European financial crisis, just all kinds of stuff. And then the pandemic stuff that we just had. And you have experiences like this that have made you and kind of scarred you. And then you have new traders who come in, and they might come in 2020 and look at the market we had in 2020. And that's kind of like what has imprinted on their soul, their trading soul. And you as an old timer might say, well, this is stupid, or this doesn't work, or you'll see, you're going to give that money back. And really, I think it helps to see both sides of that, because there's that saying, there's old traders and bold traders, but no old, bold traders. There's always some truth in these stupid sayings. And it's that, as you survive longer and you get older and you have kids, or maybe you don't, but whatever, it's just natural evolution of a human is to be more risk averse and to maybe dial down your curiosity and become more stuck in your ways. And I'm naturally pretty curious and a lifelong learner type of a personality. So I'm on the right side of that, but I can tell you it happens to me as well. And I look at younger traders sometimes and the risk they're willing to take and the go for broke type attitude that I used to have, and how a healthy dose of that is useful. And I think mentoring or seeking out or being around some of that can be very helpful, not to compare yourself or beat yourself up, but to remind yourself that, that is still an important part of hitting your potential, is to think that way and to keep exposing yourself to those new ideas and stay fresh and figure out what's working now and what's changing and am I getting stuck, but also all the lessons that you've had along the way. So just keeping in mind that, just be open-minded to both sides of that, because it's easy to get stuck. And if you hang around with the same group of people and they're all talking the same way, you start to just only believe that. And that's why it's important to kind of, to have your head down doing your thing, and then other times to come up for air and do a little digging and kind of question some of what's going on and make sure that you're adapting as quickly as you can. So that's another thing. And the third thing, I think, is last time I talked about ditching the character you've created. And so I think it's important. There's this really important distinction between, here's what I'm good at, here's what I've studied, what I've found that works for me, for my job, my life, my personality. And then there's this other thing where you create a character or something that you're trying to like, I'm the frugal guy who only buys value stocks, and I would never buy crap with high valuation. I'll never, I'll never be in a Tesla. I'll never be in a cryptocurrency. That's a bunch of shit. I'm not interested in that. And then there's like this weird middle ground between that. That's the place to be, I think. And you don't want to give up what you're good at or what you studied. But I think a lot of times people leave money on the table and they miss big opportunities because they get caught into thinking they have to be a certain way or certain things won't work for them, when really they've just closed their mind down to something. It doesn't mean that it doesn't mean you have to chase every area that's hot, but it's similar to the old trader versus new trader type thing, where you need to really check yourself and pay attention to what's going on, what's evolving. And, even growth versus value is totally changing. Not that people listening to this are that interested in growth stocks versus value stocks, but even in that, when interest rates are at 0%, the whole concept of a value stock is different. It has a different meaning or in a growth stock than they used to. It's a different world we're in right now. And if we get inflation and we're going to go into another different world, and it's like constantly watching the leaders in the market, getting on, sometimes getting on groups, reach out to me, reach out to other people, and connect yourself with how things are moving, how things are changing, and make sure that you're always doing that, and that you're not just supporting some kind of I only buy 20-day breakouts, during earnings season. Well, that's great. And that might be awesome when you're working, and that could be good. And then there's times where that stops working. And sometimes you need to adapt, and you need to quickly understand why that's not working anymore. And this is really trading in a nutshell, when you're constantly doing that with whatever strategy you have. But the longer you're around, the more you pick up different strategies and you start cycling through them. There's times when, after the crypto blew up, I was in there trading more, put it on trades that lasted a few hours to a few days, because I've had a lot of blow ups in my life that I've seen in the market, and I like to trade after that because it's very volatile, and I feel like I have a good understanding of some of the panicking and the retesting and the rally back into the range and all that kind of stuff. So I like that little pocket, but that doesn't happen a lot. But when it does, I quickly move into that zone or that mode, and then I shut it off. And then earnings season is another zone or a mode, and then I shut it off. And it's kind of like I'm moving to these pockets of things that I understand. And at first, when I started, I didn't have a lot of pockets. It was just like you learn one thing and you learn it well. But I've got caught too of creating a character that I'm a day trader, and this is what I do, and the other stuff is not for me. And sometimes that can be very limiting, and sometimes that can be what you need. And I think it's up to each person to ask themselves if they're defending something that doesn't need to be defended, or if they're actually sticking to what they're good at. So just some things for you to chew on and think about. And I have some other things to say, but I'm going to come on a little bit later. But I just wanted to do a podcast again because it feels good to talk, just air this out for myself to hear as well. So hope everyone is having a good old time out there.